we must take a fresh, sophisticated look at the special problems of each of our customers.
Projections of probable sales provide clear indication of the need for an expanded organizational approach.
All this R&D activity has created a major task in evaluating new technologies, especially in the electric utility field.
For the first time, the company has in place an organization that can focus sales, engineering, and product department activities directly on the utility market.
What we hope we can do is to extend even further than we have the basic idea of total integration of industrial selling.
We have the opportunity to establish marketing leadership that will be responsive to the needs of the electric utilities with a fresh and effective new approach.
Significant words from significant people regarding the new organizational structure of the General Electric Company. To get the full story of this report from headquarters, we interviewed each of the men you've just seen to ascertain the present and future plans of the new sales and engineering components and what these plans mean to you and to your relations with your customers. Our first interview was in Schenectady with Vice President J.W. Belanger. Mr. Belanger, this first question is a rather obvious one. Why has the apparatus business been divided between the electric utility and the industrial groups?
I think that question can best be answered in one word: growth. Take sales of electric energy, for example. From sales of something more than 200 billion kilowatt hours in 1949, projected figures show probable sales of 1.3 trillion kilowatt hours in 1968. A projection of company combined electric utility and industrial business shows a level of $1.4 billion in sales in 1958, with a projection of probable sales of $3.6 billion in 1968. Breaking down this figure, in the industrial area, the sales projection rises from sales of $0.7 billion in 1959 to $1.6 billion in 1968. And in the electric utility area, sales are projected to rise from $0.7 billion in 1958 to $2 billion in 1968. These projections of probable sales provide clear indication of the need for an expanded organizational approach to cope with this tremendous sales task. We want to be ready to take full and complete advantage of this great growth opportunity.
Next, we talked with Vice President A.F. Vinson, Industrial Group Executive. Perhaps you can tell us this, Mr. Vinson. In your opinion, what is the major task facing the new industrial group?
The answer to your question, George, stems from a profound and rather abrupt change that's taken place in this country and in the world in the last decade. It can best be characterized as a change from the age of industrial revolution to the new age of technology. By now, the need for increased productivity has been pretty well sold in. The task facing us now is to keep abreast of the latest technologies and then translate these technologies in terms of helping customers to profit by achieving increased and more efficient production. This means that we must take a fresh, sophisticated look at the special problems of each of our customers and then come up with means of helping to solve these problems.
Is this where automation comes in?
Certainly automation is part of the picture, a very important part. As our technology advances, completely new products are developed that cannot be made in any acceptable quality or quantity except by automation techniques. It's a fact of business life today that only those companies which continually modernize will survive and prosper in our competitive free enterprise system. Among other things, the job of the industrial salesman is to communicate to the customer the benefits of automation techniques and other results of technological change that can be tailored to fit his particular needs. We can be sure of this: if we don't tell our customers about new and better ways of doing things, somebody else will. Closely tied to this is the fact that no sales operation, no product component, can afford to isolate itself from the rest of the company. Let's go with everything we've got. And by this, I mean, let's use all of the resources of General Electric necessary to do this selling job. None of us can afford to go it alone in this strongly competitive climate generated by this age of technology. Let's make it our continuing job to find out what the customer wants and needs, and then make it available to him. I'm confident that everyone concerned with making or marketing a product will do everything possible to accomplish this important task.
After leaving Mr. Vinson, we questioned Industrial Sales Operation General Manager Wells Corbin, asking him to speak directly to the field sales organization. Mr. Corbin, what do you see as the basic strength of the new industrial sales operation?
Briefly, the form of our organization and the way we're going to make it work. We have designed what many of us firmly believe is the most effective structure we can put together to serve all kinds of industrial customers. We have the necessary specialization to cover adequately each segment of the industrial market. The OEMs, electronic component buyers, agents and distributors, the transportation industry, the process and general industrial purchasers, and all the others. With our new organization, we can take care of all of them without any unnecessary compartmentalizing of our sales approach or any handicapping of our total effort.
What are your thoughts about increasing sales effectiveness through this new organization?
What we hope we can do is to extend even further than we have the basic idea of total integration of industrial selling. Our new organization is designed to work so that each region, each district, each manager, in many cases each salesman, can contribute not only to his own particular order-getting responsibility, but to all others as well.
What about the operation's other functions, such as advertising and sales promotion, service shops, and the finance and service operation?
Well, this applies to them too. We can expect that these organizations, as a part of the industrial sales operation, will think and act always as key contributors to the fundamental job of getting the order. To this end, I have asked the manager of each sales region and of each separate function to determine what he thinks can be done in his particular area to contribute directly to the success of every other operation and of the industrial sales operation as a whole.
How do you plan to handle the problem of measurement in this new organization?
To a great extent, each sales region will be semi-autonomous, within, of course, the productivity standards we establish for them and expect them to meet. Obviously, in many locations and with many customers, we need better and smarter selling, and it will be directly up to each regional manager to accomplish this in his own area of operations. To emphasize the importance of everyone working together at all times, we expect to apply a 9th key measurement, which will be the contribution each operation can make to all others and to the industrial sales operation itself.
One more question. Do you have any additional message for your industrial sales operation people?
Yes, I have. Many of you have told me that we can perform better, give our customers more for their money, and generally forge ahead of competition if we will only plan and work on the basis of an integrated selling effort. We now have an organization that encourages this kind of effort. The next move is yours. It is up to you to make this new organization work as it is designed to work, and as you and I know it can work.
To get the electric utility side of the picture, we stopped in at the New York office of Vice President and Electric Utility Group Executive C.H. Linder in meeting with J.F. Young, General Manager of the Electric Utility Engineering Operation, and Electric Utility Sales Operation General Manager M.F. Kent. Mr. Linder, what do you see as the impact of your group on the company's relationships with utility customers?
Well, our main objective in this area, George, is to achieve deeper penetration of our utility customers' organizations. We're aiming for closer, more direct sales and engineering effort at every level of management and engineering personnel. For the first time, the company has in place an organization that can focus sales, engineering, and product department activities directly on the utility market.
How about changes taking place in the electric utility business?
Most importantly, it's becoming increasingly clear that the utility market is on the threshold of an exciting and challenging era, an era of swift technological advancement. The electric utilities' image of themselves as a mature industry is rapidly changing. These customers are coming to realize that in order to keep pace with exploding population growth and increasing load requirements and still keeping costs in line, they must seek out new ideas. For us, this provides an opportunity to develop and implement entirely new concepts of engineering, manufacturing, and marketing in serving this major customer group.
Mr. Young was asked, how does your electric utility engineering operation plan to provide technical support for utility sales efforts?
One of the things we plan to do, George, is to strengthen and, where necessary, reestablish a two-way flow with district application engineers. Men in these positions are on the firing line with utility customers, and they can provide the information on requirements, trends, and preferences which can focus our engineering efforts on customer service. In the other direction, the engineering operation should back up the district engineers on new application know-how, on solution of specific problems, on introducing new ideas for serving customer needs, and on customer presentations and requisitions when needed.
How will this relate to the product departments?
The district will, of course, go direct to the product department on product matters. The engineering operation, too, hopes to stimulate closer working relationships with the product departments, particularly in system needs for or application of new technology in the company's product offerings, and in this way should turn up new business opportunities.
What new planning and engineering activities do you foresee?
Well, of course we want to put new technology to work as soon as possible. As a nation, we've spent as much on research and development in the last 5 years as we have in the previous 178. And in the 60s, we plan to double our total R&D figure. All this R&D activity has created a major task in evaluating new technologies, especially in the electric utility field. There are many examples, but to pick one, the engineering operation has been assigned the responsibility for investigating the technical and economic factors necessary for business evaluation of magnetohydrodynamics. As long as MHD continues to look promising, it will be investigated and evaluated on a company-wide basis.
Mr. Kent, what problem areas face your electric utility sales operation?
Today, tomorrow, and perhaps even for years to come, we are in one of the most competitive eras in the entire history of our association with the utility industry. There is much overcapacity not only in our own productive facilities, but also in those of our principal competitors.
How about the opportunities in the utility sales area?
We have not only the opportunity, but the compelling necessity of increasing our participation in these markets under these competitive conditions. It is extremely timely, therefore, that we have behind us the structuring of a new utility sales organization, and ahead of us the kind of organizational stability that is so essential to the high morale of our people. We have the opportunity for adding measurably to our product offerings in product innovation, plant and system design. We have the opportunity to establish marketing leadership that will be responsive to the needs of the electric utilities with a fresh and effective new approach. The utility industry is continually seeking opportunities for reduction in costs of capital equipment, generating facilities, transmission and distribution equipment. We're up against some extremely smart and very aggressive competitors, including a continuing and formidable foreign competition. All of this will require teamwork and cooperation with our product departments, with our headquarters engineering and sales components, in integrating highly attractive and imaginative proposals. We have the opportunity to orient our selling efforts to the electric utility market as it exists today, as it will exist tomorrow. Above all else, we have the opportunity individually and collectively to face up effectively to this competition and significantly influence the profitability of the product departments we represent, to serve more effectively our assigned customers and enhance our own personal progress within the company.
Will the headquarters and the field sales organizations meet the challenges of transition to the new components effectively? Mr. Belanger summed up the answer to this in these words.
Over the years, I've gotten to know personally many, perhaps most of our people in the field, as well as those in headquarters and in product departments. Knowing them as I do, I have every confidence that individually and collectively, they will do everything in their power to effect a smooth, swift transition from apparatus sales to the new organizations. This can only result in benefits to our customers as well as to our employees.